Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Summit 6 qualifier. We're going to be casting Friends versus Virtus Pro today. The two CIS teams matching up against each other for elimination in this qualifier, as they were both knocked down previously from their upper bracket throne. I'm not going to be alone, though. I'll be with Blaze. Blaze, what's up, man? It's been a long time since we casted together. How you been?
It's been pretty good. It's been pretty interesting having to arrange like 4 or 5 qualifiers in the space of a weekend as things get heated up here.
No salt, no salt, right?
No, it all works out in the end. It's just yeah, it makes you strive to be better and interact even stronger. It's fun to be an admin, but it's even more fun to cast, especially with you, man. It's been, like you said, it's been a while, but it's been some great games. I've been, obviously, when I'm adminning or observing or whatever, I get to see all these guys clashing, and oh, we've had some really good Dota. Oh, like the Ad Infinitum series was really good up against Virtus Pro, and that was kind of an upset, considering where Ad Infinitum were at a few weeks ago in our BTS series. They actually didn't even make it to the playoffs. But overall, like VP, like they've kind of showed some weaknesses. Friends stepped it up throughout the first phase of the EU tournament, so it should be a pretty heated match, and I'm very excited about it.
So real quickly, because the draft is already going by pretty fast, but what is your take on the Ad Infinitum matchup versus Virtus Pro? Like in your own words, how would you say that series really broke down? What did VP do wrong?
Well, I mean, some of it comes down to the draft. Just Ad Infinitum have a lot of heroes that could just get involved really aggressively. Like you've got like PA, Sand King, and Riki as like an opener. Like you're able to just jump on heroes. You're able to really gun down certain targets, and really good aggression and target priority comes out, and just the early advantage very clearly came out for Ad Infinitum. But you know, we got to see some unorthodox things. It did go to 3 games, and MVP did even pull out the support Weaver, which, you know, Lil, he plays pretty much whatever he wants as a support these days. But like, I don't know, it really, in that it's a very close matchup, but it seemed like Ad Infinitum were just able to get really good team fight play out, where VP were a little bit more scattered.
Right, well, we'll see if VP are going to be able to bring it up a notch here in this series against Friends. Now, we had our draft go by. We already had the highly contested Mirana. That's probably going to be #1 pick for both of these two teams. It's very highly valued here in the meta right now. Instantly go to Virtus Pro. Follow-up, though, from Friends was a Keeper of the Light and an Omni Knight. VP responded with a Slardar, but Keeper of the Light, Omni Knight is definitely one of the more interesting ones, right? Keeper of the Light as an opening support is definitely not the norm.
Not generally, but from Friends, I mean, they have been doing some different things, and actually Coddle was, I think, first banned when Team Liquid was playing against them, because they had just watched a series they played in Royal Arena. They played against Skype, and they picked up Coddle both times, first phase, wrecked with it, and they even had a Pugna with one of them, which is really interesting. So it's kind of like the push and pull aspect of the map, where you're really controlling how the lanes flow. But I'm not sure if we'll see that this time around. I think you probably have to have some incentive, like you're up against an OD or other really high magic users, in order to really incentivize that. But even still, like the Coddle itself is something that they're very comfortable with on the side of Friends.
Yeah, I do know the support Pugna is something that other teams have been kind of considering, been throwing around when they're facing up against especially that OD. We're going to have the Batrider and now Chen being picked up by Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro getting themselves some pushing elements. Chen, though, why a Chen? Chen hasn't really been that valued in the meta by a whole lot of teams. What's unique about this hero that wants Virtus Pro to pick it?
I mean, obviously you're able to push a little bit more consistently with the fact that you have tankier creeps. You're able to actually knock down towers against a Coddle, which is important to do, because once Omni Knight gets to like his mid to late game stride, he's always going to be able to win the fights. But the Chen, he's able to kind of go in and go for the earlier push before Omni Knight's really high enough level, before Coddle really has enough in its Illuminate, and really just take down at least all the tier 1s, give yourself a basic map advantage. And from there, I mean, we have seen some really good item progression from Chens recently. I got to see, I'm trying to remember exactly who was playing it, but it was a Chen that had some massive, like 450 GPM. He had his Guardian Greaves, Aghanim Scepter, AC type action. It was actually art style in the Na'Vi matchup in Dota Pit. But man, he like just, if you could actually play the hero with good practice and get some lucky creep spawns, you can actually explode in terms of early net worth, and that can in of itself just do so many things for you.
Classic art style, always picking up the most farm from a support position than anyone else.
No, he was second on his team. Like he was above his everybody else. Like it was pretty much ridiculous. But obviously they have two really good Chen players on Virtus Pro. You've got Solo, who historically has played it the most, but more recently Lil's been picking it up. He's obviously really good with the micro as well.
We have now a Disruptor in the hands of Virtus Pro. Nice, good controlling hero. Pretty good versus the Bat Rider, and good control over the Faceless Void as well. Gonna have to keep a little bit of an eye, though, on that Repel. Unless we are going to have a different Diffusal Blade carry being picked up, Juggernaut already being banned away. What's really left when it comes to Diffusal Blade carries if we're going to take Mirana out of that pool and let her go straight for the Ags? What other heroes are left?
Yeah, in that case, it's kind of hard because like the Face of Void and the Juggernaut are your go-tos. Like I have seen actually carry Riki once very recently do the counterplay there, but yeah, I like the idea of after the Aghanims, the Mirana goes back for her Diffusal Blade. Other than that, I mean, you've got since VP have a good variety of heroes, they can obviously go for a few different options. They end up just going for the PA, but I don't think is that great in terms of Diffusal. It's technically an option, but it's like I would definitely prefer to the Mirana.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually expecting an Ursa, but just because the Ursa matches up well against most of these heroes, I guess Bat Rider would be a little annoying, but I guess you got the full tri-lane. Ursa, I don't know, I'm just going to be kind of feeling it right now. I feel like it's one of those heroes that really hits hard in the mid-game, but so is PA. In fact, Blitz has been repeatedly telling me PA is so broken right now, so maybe we're going to find out that's true. Is PA, the item build-up is going to be obviously a bit different for this game if he does go to Diffusal Blade, but one of the things about the PA is that you're able to do so much with such cheap items. Normally it's like, the whole Desolator build that allows you just to be able to blow up heroes and actually push into towers pretty quickly. It gives you this like really cheap damage going into the mid game, but not entirely sure what the build's going to be this time around. Slark is going to be our last pick for Yoku, meaning we are going to have ourselves an offlane Faceless Void. And running the Slark in the safe lane. Friends definitely have a better late game lineup, it looks like. It's going to be up to VP to try and end this game pretty quick.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting to see the Slark as the final pickup here, because you have a lot of heroes that I actually think are pretty solid against the Slark. Obviously, the Disruptor is one of the classic supports that'll be able to control him really well with the kinetic static. You've also got things like the fact that PA if she actually maxes Blur, it's unlikely that the Slark picks up an MKB before like an Eye of Scotty or something like that. So he'll have his Shadow Blade, his Aqua Saber, and he'll go for the Silver Edge, and that'll be really nice then. But prior to that, PA is going to run rampant, and I think that plays into VP's hands pretty well because the Chen, the Slaughter, they fight early as well, and obviously the Rana really peaks at her Aghanim's timing. So as like you said, late game, Friends are going to be able to be insane here. Obviously, getting the huge potential value of the Guardian Angel, the Chronosphere, and again, the Slarky Silver Edge. This could be really good for Friends if they can kind of slow VP's roll. But VP are going to be all about the first 20 minutes, and I'm expecting some pretty big kill counts when it comes to the early game.
Yeah, this is, looking at their lineup, it seems like their lineup's just going to be rather slow. In so many ways, like they're just going to be able to get pickoffs every once in a while with the Chronosphere or with the Lasso. You've got both the Keeper of the Light and the Omni Knight are not necessarily known for being able to create kills around the map. So it's just going to be up to those two cores, totally reliant on their item timings, or when it comes to Faceless Void at least, with his Chronosphere, which is very long cooldown. Just seems like VP is going to be able to take control of this game pretty quickly, and they do have the kind of heroes that would be able to take advantage of the space created. Obviously, Mirana as well as PA are able to pick up big mid-game potential. Mirana especially is able to make use of that Aghanim Scepter and all the space that's created to be able to quickly farm. And then from there, you've got the Chen and potential Desolator for the PA that could allow you to go and take Roshan and then be able to push high ground from there. But we'll see if Friends are able to find enough openings, I guess, to be able to slow things down. It's going to be an offlane Bat Rider. I just threw out offlane Faceless Void, not really thinking too much, but well, mid Faceless Void.
Yeah. I mean, either way, if the Bat Rider goes mid or the Void goes mid, it's still a little bit of an unorthodox situation here. But I look at Faceless Void as a decent matchup against the mid Moronic here. There are a couple different heroes that work out pretty well. The Juggernaut actually, like, Juggernaut with a poor man's shield does not care about Mirana's early right-click damage. She does 55 right now, and you're going to be able to block so much from that. The Void, I would probably say, is even better. Less kill potential, of course, but just the fact that you don't have to worry about any of your nukes, you're going to be in a pretty good spot to just kind of trade and build up your farm. I think that while the Mirana will, of course, still get plenty of farm as a ranged hero, that Undershock should do pretty well for himself.
Yeah. All right, hello to everybody in game. Sorry about that. We'll see how Afterlife does. Undershock should do great, right? As you said, the poor man's shield versus the Mirana. Mirana always kind of like lacking a bit when it comes to physical damage. He's gonna have the little bit of extra help from Lil when it comes to potentially ganking the mid lane, but it's gonna take a lot to be able to kill a Faceless Void, as you said. The PMS and the Time Walk able to shake things off. Maybe he'll just sit up at top lane, help out our Slardar. That's been a very common theme whenever teams are running Slardar. You see, for example, like Newbie, they always love to be able to rotate their supports up to the top lane to be able to help out KP Slardar, just because it is one of those heroes that can't really make the jungle work and still needs a pretty decent laning phase, off-laners being considered, of course.
Yeah. So we'll see how much they can suppress the early PA. In my mind, in general, PA is one of the better heroes to farm under pressure, just because that worst case scenario, you're just going to be able to dagger creeps, and he's got like unlimited magic stick charges to make that possible. So I think like at level 3 and beyond, the PA is still going to get near perfect CS, and it's going to be like on the Batrider just to try to go straight for a kill and try to go dive under tower. And it's definitely possible with like a level 2 Omni, get the repel in and make it so that kinetic field or glimpse doesn't mean too much. But at that point, you might see the Chen like flanking, and we'll have to keep our eye on him. But speaking of Lil, at least for now, we haven't really seen too much from him. Still running around at level 1 here, and just trying to see what he can really find. Mud Golem's a good option, Hellbear even better, and we'll see if he actually has any kill potential.
Yeah, he had a rough time there with his starting off with the offlane camp being blocked away, and then tried to go to the hard camp on the farther up, but they actually blocked them themselves with the ward being placed out. So didn't really have too many options till now. Won't be able to snipe the courier in time. We'll just consider maybe running onto mid and harassing a Faceless Void, but again, it's not going to be able to give you kill potential, most likely, unless a solid arrow manages to land there. A haste rune going to be picked up by Always Wanna Fly, so which means he is not in any danger of Lil's ganks either.
Nope, just completely invulnerable in this case, and it's just going to be like almost incentivizing the Chen to make his move down bottom. Like right now, you don't want to just keep moving, keep looking for camps, looking for kill opportunities, but really in mid and in top, you're not going to find much at all. Like, I actually can't see that happening whatsoever. I mean, maybe you get a mana burn creep, and then you suppress the Void, and then maybe you go for a kill, but all these factors coming into play, it seems unlikely. Down bottom, though, there is a pretty lofty exchange between the two of them. Some really good poke harassment available between Solo and Ramses, but the problem is Disruptor's mana pool is pretty limited here, and he's going to be just chugging clarities and stick charges.
Yeah, he's kind of acting as both a little bit of damage onto the Batrider, trying to force out some regen, and then he's also serving as a potential jump for the PA when things get a little bit too hairy and doesn't have a creep wave to be able to blink strike to. Friends, no fear, again, getting a bit low, is actually going to repel and TP back to base here. And guess run himself out with maybe, yep, fresh boots. Trying to keep up the pressure for as much as possible, I guess. In some ways, it does make sense, right? Instead of just, like, trying to stick around in the lane with, like, low HP and not really having a whole lot of mana, just quickly get back to base, pick up your boots, head into lane, keep up the pressure with this dual lane.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big differences between the two lineups here, is that Virtus Pro have a lot of natural mobility. Like you said, Phantom striking back, you have Leap Disengage, Glimpse to pull people away. Like, you're able to keep space exactly how you want it on VP's lineup very naturally. But Friends, they have to itemize for it. They have to buy these boots, these Windlace, and eventually Blink Daggers and the such to really stay involved.
A little bit more of a go here on Afterlife. We'll be able to repel him back. No fear, not into position, nor the mana to be able to give him the heal. They just have the repel, and that's not going to be enough. First Blood is picked up by Solo, and now they're able to put more pressure. No fear. Why is he sticking around like this? He has no heal whatsoever. He's just going to get jumped on. And again, Solo picks up the last hit. Double kill for him. The aggro dual lane of Friends just falls under pressure as VP managed to find their opening.
Yeah, and I really have to say that it comes down to the Omninuts, man. I was talking about the Disruptor having bad mana-ish times, but he's up against Batrider, he's got his magic stick, and he was able to get a full clarity out, so he was able to reset that pool really well. Omni Knight, on the other hand, when he went for the repel TP back, as you mentioned, he picked up the boots and not the magic stick. So all these spells are flying out. He's still sitting dry on his less than 300 mana pool, so really not able to sustain that lane very well, and Batrider pays with his life.
Pasha showing off just how ineffective that top lane's going to be. Afterlife is going to be gone on and bottom, and he'll go down once again. How does Solo keep on picking up these last hits against two cores?
Easy. This is where you like just go hand to Midas. You're like, I'll have an Aghanim Scepter around 25. It's fine.
Yeah, he's just a very happy camper with this Disruptor. We'll see if he's able to get like progression into Arcane Boots, and maybe we'll see an Aghanims later into this game. Still gonna have to worry about that Repel, unfortunately, but it still would be a nice item to have. Pasha, meanwhile, he's actually been doing quite well, thanks to a little bit of help from Lil, and then just generally the ineffective kill power of this lane. They have no hard stuns, so he's just able to TP back every time. Mid lane, Undershock is going to be double dunked on here. Does have the repel. Is going to throw out the Chronosphere. They're going to try and go on to Lil. They don't have a heal for another 4 seconds. And who comes out? Lil dropping lower. No fear. Oh, Jesus. He just threw that hammer at Chen. Good lord. Managed to get the last hit and will manage to retreat back in time. Undershocked. Still sticking around with just 50 HP, waiting for the next round of heals from his Omni Knight friend.
Yeah, so the way he sees it, if he's immune to magic, the only way they can bring him down is right-clicks. We already talked about the poor man's shield, but having just 10 armor naturally and the Fairy Fire available, like, he's not afraid at all. But picks up a very lucky reach on Ruin and gets himself back up to full HP, and they reset things pretty well. Like, I mean, obviously, getting the kill there is nice with the Chronosphere and not dying at the same time. But looking at this top lane, I think the biggest hero to be looking at is actually Yoku. Like, yeah, the PA has been able to assist on a number of kills here, but she hasn't been CSing nearly as well as the Slark, who's had a pretty free lane up top and is now topping it out at 40 and 21 and the net worth as well.
I wonder what the plan is to be able to shut him down. Disruptor is going to be picking up his level 6 pretty soon, actually, considering how many times they killed the Batrider. We missed the last kill that just happened. It seemed like once they saw the Omni Knight in mid, they decided it was go time to kill the Batrider at that bottom lane. So Disruptor with his level 6 would be a nice rotation to be able to have early against the Slark. May not be expecting it, considering the Disruptor's rather over-leveled for only 7 minutes in the game.
Yeah. Still looking for something from Lil here, though, on the Chen. He's level 3, 1 point of penitence. Like, there's definitely some kill potential, but he's going to be very quickly just out-leveled by his opponents, where they're able to just get tankier and tankier. The Slark will get his ultimate off. The Void, obviously, we saw what happened last time they tried to gank him. And then they're always going to have the Omni Knight behind them as well. I feel like Lil's strength as a Chen would be in these first 10 minutes, and so far we've seen 0, 1, and 0 from him.
Yeah, hasn't been able to accomplish too much, not even farming that well for a Chen being level 4.
He's mostly just like harassed lanes and done very transparent things. He realized like there's wards everywhere, his rotations are extremely transparent, the Void is ungankable, and it just got to a point where all he could do is just try to poke at the Slark, who frankly just didn't care.
Do you think his time would be better served just trying to go full jungle and pick up, you know, the fast 6x6 and trying to get a faster mechanisms into the game?
It's possible. I think balancing it out would be good. Like when you have these nice little smoke timings here where you're able to kind of find a little opening with the Disruptor level 6, then yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Gonna try and pull him back here with the Repel. We'll be able to lock him down rather easily. It's gonna come up to a potential TP in. They do manage to get the heal, the Repel, the right clicks. Oh, it finished him off, but the Chronosphere goes down. VP, they're surely gonna have to give up something here. Lil, he's gonna be deep into that tier 1 tower. He's gonna be the first one down. They're gonna chase forward for Solo next. The kinetic field blocking them up. Now the stun onto Afterlife. They've blown up the Omni Knight. Pasha's gonna be turned around on, but Ramsey's still free to right click whoever he wants. He's gonna go for Afterlife first. Now bounce back to Yoku, who's trying to go onto Solo, locking himself into kinetic field. Unfortunately, couldn't catch the Slark this time around. Yoku pounce away just ahead of the Phantom Strike and will be able to make his way out of here, it looks like. Unless Ramsey's... okay. No. That should have been a pretty simple run into the trees and hide sort of thing for the Slark, but still gets found out by...
Making another attempt. They're rocking the Troll, Dark Troll Summoner, as well as the Centaur, but it's still going to be a pretty tough kill onto the Omni Knight. They have to open up with the glimpse into the ulti, but no! And he just TPs away.
Oh, rough. They even used the Incineroar before the attempted TP out. Rough times. That was beautiful, Blaze. I closed my eyes. I felt like I was living in Dota.
Good enough. You could pretty much do it just with the VR goggles there. So.
Yeah.
But for now, tier 1 tower falls. At least Lil's getting that much accomplished. Some early push pressure, like I mentioned. You don't want to be like with all 3 tier 1s up against the Coddle when he starts getting his levels up. So it's definitely important to get these early ganks and this early tower pressure. But he's just been lacking skills.
And it looks like Solo's actually going to pick up an urn. He's like, yeah, I've got the farm for it. No one else is going to be getting it, so might as well get that extra bit of sustain for the team. VP's Lil, meanwhile, 5.5, so we're getting close to be able to have that extra healing power as well, and I'm sure from there, VP are just going to try and pressure the last couple of towers left. Tier 1 up at top would be a good go, and then they're going to need to eventually control the bottom half of the map, but I don't think there's any fear of either team doing Roshan for the next 10 minutes, so VP, if they want to, they could just try and take over the dire jungle.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best move to make. Right now, Yoku just TP'd down bottom. They saw that under creep wave, so this seems like a jungle that they could definitely take advantage of. And another smoke, or no, it's Moonlight Shadow coming out.
Pasha, hot on the trail of Afterlife here, is trying to sneak his way through the trees. Moonlight Shadow gonna wear out. Afterlife realizing that he has a stalker, and now has his sights on Afterlife. They're gonna try and get the recall out. Turns around, manages to get the lasso. Afterlife, he's pulled but glimpsed. Afterlife, all that for nothing. Still does not manage an escape. That was a beautiful attempted play there from Friends, but not quite good enough. Tier 1 tower as well as Batrider's life will be claimed here.
Alright, and we are going to be seeing the Axe Rush attempted by Lil. Obviously, he's lacking quite a bit in terms of early farm, but he's not going to be going for the mechanism. Relying just on the Hand of God, and then just trying to go for the really early Axe. I've seen this work really well when you have a lot of farm on the Chen. Like, you get these ancient creeps out way before anybody can really deal with them. And to an extent, there is a lack of physical damage on the side of Friends. So you think about like the old metas where you would evaluate how good a ancient lifestealer would be. Well, now you gotta evaluate how good an Axe Chen would be. The problem is the delay. The fact that he's not gonna be picking this item before like the 22-minute mark that you would normally like to have it. And that's gonna be limiting its value.
Man, Afterlife, 1-6-2, and he's going to find no harbor here in the jungle. Once again, he's going to go down to the gank of the Disruptor and the Phantom Assassin. More TPs being completed here. Friends, looks like they actually want to push out and see if they can get some control of their own jungle, but they will be met with quite the force. VP sitting 4-man here with Moonlight Shadow out. Counter Ward will manage to scout them, as well as that ward being placed away, so no actual goal available here for VP, but that just means more space for Pasha. See if he can get his Blink Dagger before the Batrider.
Yeah, so at this point, the Sark has to get involved. Like, Yoku has been playing the farm game really well. He's taken fights that come to him, but he really hasn't gotten involved aggressively across the map. Now he has his Shadow Blade. Now he needs to make his move. But all he's got is the PA. 4 points of blur. She's not the target. It's got to be the Disruptor.
He does have Static Storm, but he will throw it out. That means PA might be able to turn this one around. The TP not successful in completion, and Ramses decides it's not an opportunity to go on Yoku anymore. It doesn't matter. He's hit by the pounce, locked down, and Friends look for more, but VP are one step ahead. Still, though, 2 pickoffs for that start of the Shadow Blade. Really good for Friends. You said the Slark had to get involved. He picked up his big Shadow Blade, and first thing he does, managed to make a kill on a support and a core happen.
Yeah, because like up until that point, you could clearly see that Yoku just didn't want to fight at all. He was very afraid of just getting picked off, getting all of his items delayed, and being marginalized for the rest of the game. So he focused, he TP bottom, he like farmed up the Radiant jungle, pushed out the bottom lane, and he's able to get his Shadow Blade at a great time. But at this, what came at a cost. VP were able to, as you mentioned, invade the Radiant jungle, take full control of that, and even pressure the tier 2 tower a bit. So it was very important that the Sark kind of rebounds with the farm and the space that was created for him. And now it kind of opens up the map a little bit more. The Chen, he might still go rushing Aghanim Scepter, but he has to buy Sentry Wards at the same time, and that's a major setback.
He's got halfway there, now has the Ogre Club in his hands, probably asking Solo to cover some of the slack for now. They do need to play a rather careful game because I don't think they're quite yet ready to full 5-man on the side of VP. Pasha still needs his Blink Dagger, for example. But it also means when he's farming alone like this, he is a potential Slark pickoff. So he's feeling confident right now just because the Slark showed himself at top lane. But most of the time, he is going to have to play kind of a careful farming game. And so will the rest of VP, as they're not going to be fully grouped up. It looks like they're going to be spending a bit of time sitting around their towers and, if anything, backing up the PA. Currently, Lil sitting behind him, ready to go with the potential TP out, or even just being a body for a Phantom Strike if needed.
Yep. So at this point in time, where they're just waiting for the Slaughter blink on the side of VP. When they get the Slaughter's blink up, they really need to start pushing down towers and just trying to wipe out the opposition. Because the Aghanim Scepter, great power spike for no one, but it's not going to last long enough. Like, they just need to put out the pressure. They need to go for more smokes, which they do still have one in stock. So they have the potential to make these plays, but they need the Slaughter blink first. So he just now got 2250. We'll be able to buy that up before there's any play made bottom.
That's rough. If only maybe, like, Undershock was clearly ready to go. If he just needed the right kind of rotations from people to be able to get that kill. They get that kill before the blink dagger. They set VP back another 2 or 3 minutes, and that can definitely make a big difference, because that means maybe it's actually friends who are able to make the first maneuver instead of VP with this blink dagger being picked up by Afterlife. I just clicked on it. I was like, he's got no gold. I know he has a blink dagger. I'm like looking all around. I'm like trying to find the courier. Turns out he just laid it on the ground when he showed himself at mid. That way VP don't know that he has that initiating item just yet. But VP, same situation here. 3-man smoke. They're going to try and maybe bait out Ramsey's mid as they're going to wrap around on Undershock. He time walks away. They're going to try and catch him here. The stun lands. Undershock is going to be caught. And Omni Knight is not close enough to be able to save him. Now, it's going to be up to friends to determine whether or not they still want to fight this one. No Fear gets a little bit too far ahead of himself. Repels and waits, trying to get away from Pasha and the boys. He's got a blink dagger too. He's actually going to move forward, just make sure Afterlife doesn't find initiation. They get the repel back and make sure that No Fear isn't going anywhere. Yoku trying to intercept will actually launch himself onto Pasha here to try and fight this one out with the repel, as well as his ultimate going down. Pasha gets pushed back into the Caudal Blast. Solo manning up against 3, locks them all into the kinetic field. This means Ramses could have a go here, but he's locked in by the lasso first. Almost dead, tries to make his way out with a little bit of help from the Chen. It's not quite enough, but Yoku will still go down. No one will hit him with the nuke, and that'll be 5 down from friends for the 3 of VP.
I'm really surprised they didn't just turn tail and run as soon as they lost the Void. Like, obviously, you rush in to try to help him out. Single combo of spells from the Omni Knight, and you can completely turn that engagement. But once you realize that's not happening, the best course of action is just to sever the tie and just fall back completely. Because they could have kind of cut their losses. They would have been fine. I think they could have even gotten out with all 4 heroes, but they thought, you know, let's try something. Obviously, the Omni Knight lived for quite a while using all of his abilities, and they did get some good Illuminate damage out because the Always Want to Fly got an early Spirit Form out. But end of the day, you had a Silver Edge, you had like all these different tools at your disposal for friends, and that fight still, I think, favors VP, even though the Slark got a lot on the tail end. No Fear, caught by an arrow there. Nice little blink play from Mirana. And, I mean, these kinds of little pickoffs can easily turn into a tier 2 and eventually tier 3s.
And it seems like they know somebody's farming up here, and they will manage to catch Undershock. Afterlife unable to do much about this one. They're going to wait for the stun. Oh, no, he got a bash at the perfect time. Right as the kinetic field wore out, he got a bash on Pasha, stopping the stun that would have kept him in that Static Storm for just a little bit longer. Can't believe how lucky that was. He managed to get away because of it. VP... Still, though, at least they got that Omni Knight kill. They are putting a lot of pressure on friends, keeping them from being able to farm up too much. Really, it's just Yoku who has free reign at this point. He's got Silver Edge, another 1200, and he's looking for a kill. Might just run into Lil's Chen, except for he goes the wrong way.
Yeah, you used to see the build-up usually being like Shadow Blade into Echo Saber into Silver Edge, but here he just realizes how important it is that he gets rid of that evasion, that he gets rid of that Blur passive, because if he can do that, then the PA really isn't too threatening. You have the mischance on your side with the Blinding Light and don't have to worry about the evasion against your opposition. But yeah, it is one of those things where he just wants it as quickly as possible. He's going to try to be the one leading the charge along with the Bat Rider who gets the lasso on Chen.
Pickoff on Lil is going to slow down his Ags, but it's not the greatest pickoff for a 5-man smoke like that. Again, the Ags will be slowed down, and I presume that means that VP are going to spend a little bit more time farming away, just trying to complete that item before they go for the 5-man. But friends, Looks like with a pickoff on just a Chen, they're going to try and pressure this tier 1 tower. I'm pretty sure VP are okay with a fight here. And that means, friends, they realize this too. And they're going to try and back out, but no fear. Repelled up will be okay. No lucky bash coming out from Pasha.
Yeah, so at this point, I would really have to say that it comes down to the vision game for me. Like, if we look at it, Friends will generally win a 5v5. If they get a good Chrono, good Guardian Angel out, they should be able to win it because they have the Silver Edge, they have all these tools at their disposal. But if VP can go for pickoffs, if they can just kind of find little heroes here or there, get a good glimpse, a kill, get a arrow kill, these kinds of things can easily turn the tide, allow VP to get a free tier 2 tower. The issue is they're running dry on smokes. This might be their last one for a while, and it's going to be something that Friends see coming. Even without a scan, they're able to see that at least one hero clipped by that smoke thanks to the observer ward on the high ground, and they know that something's going on. It might not know Roche, which is going to be going down very quickly thanks to the Slardar, but at the very least they're playing it safe up top.
Well, with this Roshan bounty, that will mean our Chen picks up his Ags. On the other side of the table, though, Friends are getting pretty close to an Ags of their own. That's going to be on the Keeper of the Light. It looks like he's about 3/4 of the way through. And you said it's all about the vision game. You already, as VP, have to deal with a Slark who's scouting out a lot of your wards. That's going to be even harder if Keeper of the Light manages to complete his Ags and gets the gems. So you definitely feel like the clock is ticking because it's not just about the late game scenario. It's also about the potential 30-minute scenario where you're not able to find those pickoffs you were talking about because the vision game is so lacking against Friends' team.
Yeah, just the Coddle, the Batrider, the Slark, great tools for that draft-wise. And, I mean, yeah, you've got things like Moonlight Shadow that you can play around with a little bit, but once that gem comes out, your only option is to fight during the nighttime. And that sucks because, like, you're a tempo draft, and you can't really take half of the time away from you. But you see the fast tempo of their kill potential there as they make the quick jump on Coddle, and you can see why he still has to play it pretty safe.
Yeah, thought he could just be able to sit in front of a tier 2 push like that. Not the case. Obviously wasn't expecting the full 4-man team of
but
VP
even if
to
it's just
be
like Mirana Slardar, like that's still
Yeah.
kill. Like it's just one thing where you really can't show unless you're very confident that you get backed up.
Meanwhile, the rest of Friends, they were backing up the Faceless Void, hoping to be able to get a pick up. But the thing is, VP, obviously, they've already shown themselves mid, and they know they could just keep going for this tier 3 tower. They've got the Desolator on Ramses, then they've got it already down before Friends can stage a some sort of response. He's going to jump on a Lil first. The Sun already going down, and the Static Storm. Yoku pumps the BKB, but it's too late. The Chronosphere comes down. It's too slow as well. Friends are going to be very ineffective getting any damage out. The arrow goes down. Under Shock blocks it away with the Repelled, locked in by the Ensnare. Can't even get a single kill out of all that. Repel back. They will manage. Oh, stop that one barely. The Glimpse doesn't go down. No Fear turns around, manages to get the heal nuke off. Pasha dies because of it. And VP may have just overextended themselves rather slightly. They may still be able to go back in, though. They're actually going to jump, get the double nuke onto Undershock, heals himself back up to full. They're going to try and start working on this melee Rax, but they're dealing with the Blinding Light, which is slowing things down considerably. Undershock showing himself, but he's not much of a threat, not without that Chronosphere. Starts trying to man up on Ramses, takes a good amount of nuke damage. They may have to try and send him back soon. His friends start pushing forward, seeing VP a little bit of a retreat out of them. 13 more seconds till the Slark is back up. Are VP going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to take this melee Rax in time and not lose anybody in return? Melee Rax definitely going down here. Friends will have to surge forward and see if they can get whatever picks they can. Nice jump forward there by Undershock, getting a good time dilation, but it looks like maybe even Lil's going to escape. Okay, they got the Chen, at least that much, but still. They lost their melee Rax. They're only going to get 2 supports for it, as Solo will also die. Well worth it for VP. They managed to take a lane of Rax by 25 minutes, the exact timing you want to see out of a lineup that needs to put pressure on a Slark.
Exactly. This Rax was huge. Just finding that pickoff before the Slark. They seem to react pretty slow with the BKB Shadow Dance, and that definitely was what set up the kill. But finding a pick like that, finding an opening like that, VP get exactly what they need in the takedown of that mid lane of Rax. If they didn't have that right about now, I'd say that they're starting to lose the game, that the scales are tipping very far against them. But at least for right now, we saw that they're able to prolong the fight. They're able to keep going with it, and they're able to do a lot. Now, Ramsey still has the Aegis, so Yoku really doesn't have too many good options. But if he can bait Ramsey's far enough, they might still be able to make something of it.
Ramsey's fearless. Undershock's going to come in from behind. Does have the Chronosphere ready to go. Tries to jump uphill. Maybe to catch no one. Misses, though. And now, maybe in a spot of trouble himself. Afterlife's going to be able to meet him. They're going to glimpse him back, stopping some of that. They will manage to put him into the Static Storm. Afterlife, meanwhile, is going to be taken out by Ramses. Undershock healed up. Solo is completely gone. Chronosphere laid out, misses everyone. And Ramses is now on the hunt for a little fish. Now, he does manage to go invis, gets the heal as well, ready to go back into this one. Undershock dropping lower and lower. Pasha meets his time walk with a swift kick in the rear, and now the rest of the team trying to retreat. Always want to fly, not going to be able to make it out. 3 down from Friends. Fortunately, there are some tier 2s up, so VP won't be able to go for a second lane of Rax immediately, but they will take a hefty lead in this game 1.
Ill-advised approach there. I mean, they have to realize that the Aegis still has about a minute and a half on it. PA is going to be as aggressive as possible during that time frame, and normally, you have an Aegis hero, you're like, okay, we'll just focus everybody else. If you kill off any of their supports first, then you're fine. The problem is, this hero is a Phantom Assassin. You can't just let her rest on her laurels and do her own thing. She's going to stay on top of you. She's going to put out a lot of damage, and you really just can't ignore that. So I really feel like just being more patient, waiting for the Aegis to expire, and then making an approach that was a little bit more advisable. Instead, they end up feeding a number of kills, and just Friends in general further behind. Now Slark's BKB is down to 8 seconds. This is a very important BKB, as he's pretty much going to be living or dying by that charge.
Man, I can't believe. I guess part of it was that I forgot the whole changeup of the blink, the Phantom Strike, where you're able to jump on magic immune units. But they literally just been like, repel. What's that? Who cares? You know, they haven't gotten a Diffuse up late, despite Mirana has plenty of farm. Is actually going to be going for Lincoln's up next to try and deal with that Batrider initiation, which is pretty much the only really strong high ground defense of Friends. Just because you have to be able to lead with that lasso in order to get VP out of position for you to be able to get that good Chronosphere in the first place. So it's very unlikely Undershock's just going to be able to, you know, time walk in, gets a 5-man Chrono. You know, it's going to be a high ground defense that is entirely reliant on Afterlife. But if he has to deal with a PA on the front, on the high ground, with a Lincoln's on him, that just makes an impossible scenario. He has to somehow sweep around, get one of the backliners or something. This is going to be a very tough scenario for Friends.
Yeah. I mean, Friends in general, like, they have a lot of ways to mitigate just physical damage output, whether the Guardian Angel or potential for the Keeper of Light to get a couple of blinding lights out in the fight. But end of the day, like, VP are putting out tons of damage from their spells, from their Mirana in particular, and they're able to prolong the engagements. Friends don't have a clear way of killing off a single target other than the Batrider, and in this case, they're going to have to Chrono a single Disruptor.
Undershock, maybe he thought there was going to be more, maybe he was just desperate to be able to stop that hero from getting away, but everyone else is all top lane. Tier 2 goes down, and Friends are left without a Chronosphere. Really don't think this is a fight you want to take. But Yoku starts positioning himself like they're going to take it somewhere around that secret shop. He starts counting out some of these heroes, probably hoping that some of them are going to TP away, and sure enough, he's right. Pasha is going to be the target here. Yule Scepter goes down, buys him time for his blink, and will be able to get into the trees and TP's out successfully.
So minimal losses here. They push out the top tier 2 and get those towers taken down. Now, as long as Chen's alive, these Ancient Creeps are safe as well. So the Ancient Thunderhide will be recalled here, and Chen actually going to be going for the Diffusal Blade. Support Diffusal is definitely a thing, and it used to be actually more common than the core Diffusal. When Diffusal was like a really bad item and it needed a bunch of random buffs to hear like more agility there or more mana burn there, like you actually used to see it more commonly on like the Jakiro than you would on the actual Agi carry. But now we're throwing back to that one. We're getting Chen the Diffusal Blade for himself, and again, that just allows them to focus on a target. You can use the Purge on the Blinding Light of an ally. You can use it on, of course, the Repel and the GA of the opposition. So, in general, as long as Lil is precise with his targeting, I think that this should be their key to the game.
Yeah, certainly 21-14, 29 minutes. Pretty good gold lead by VP, almost 7,500, about a 2,500 experience lead for them. VP, everything's looking pretty much perfect for them to be able to close out this game within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Going to be dependent on a Roshan fight. That's really what it comes down to. But again, similar to the high ground defense, should be pretty easy for VP to get their spacing correct. They just need to put PA by herself pretty much inside the pit, and she can solo up Roshan. And there shouldn't be a free opportunity for Friends to get a good initiation. But we'll have to see how it unfolds. Some mistakes are, well, they're a plethora in Dota 2. We'll see if VP make any themselves. A 4-man push out from Friends, trying to back up Yoku as he's going to go for a simple disruptor pickoff, and will probably be granted a kill and maybe an out. Yeah, looks like he's going to be able to get away rather easily. Undershock jumps forward. Ooh, Chronosphere locking down 2. Afterlife going to try and follow this one up with Lasso as well onto Pasha. They're going to get the simple core pickoff and then look for more with the numbers advantage. They start jumping forward. VP will manage TP away 1. Looks like Lil's the only remaining potential pick, but the Slark has given up on the chase. They have to defend the top lane, which is currently pushing it. Oh! The arrow from no one locks down Undershock, bursts him down just like that, and bye-bye Roshan. That's no longer a possibility for Friends. They could have actually taken Roche for themselves, but now they have to still defend top lane, 1 core down. And the whole entire game just kind of resets from there. That was a huge opportunity for Friends, all reset by no one's play with the arrow.
Yeah, really just great stuff from VP all around. The split push play, their overall broader sense of the game, it's just trumping Friends' ability to engage fights right now. Like, it's great that you have an Omni and a Coddle, and when the enemy comes to you, you can usually win, but they're lacking long-range initiation other than the Batrider. They're lacking single target damage with the lack of the Echo Saber on the Slark. Actually having to go for MKB now just to make sure that he's not missing. And yeah, then they get split pushed out by Lincoln's Blink Mirana. It's just like you don't really have a tool to deal with all of these different things coming in from Virtus.pro. So now, very confident Virtus.pro are going to be marching to the high ground of the bottom lane. Ramses with a fresh 10-second BKB means he isn't as worried about blinding light or the time dilation, and he's just going to be able to go at it. He's got Aegis, he's got all the damage he needs, and now with that BKB, they should be able to take this left.
All right, Ramses is going to be the one putting himself on the front line. With the Aegis, they should just give over the Lincolns to him, I think. They actually give it over to Pasha right now. I think that's a little bit dangerous. Ramses, only way they lose this fight, I'm pretty sure, is if they actually manage to get a really good lasso pullback. He's going to try and jump in. He's going to find Solo first. That's going to be an initiation, but Undershock comes him in, managed to get the 3-man Chronosphere on top of that one. Solo with the Disruptor ult managed to lock down some of the heroes, but it's not enough. Ramses keeps on going, trying to go into Yoku, but now he pops his ultimate, healing back up to full. Ramses lacking targets here as he chases around 1-to-1. Does fine managed to lock down. No fear. The help of Pasha, they're going to be able to get Yoku as well. Takes him down. Always want to play. Nailed by the arrow. 4 down and make it 5. Undershock tries to time walk away, but it is futile, my friend. They've got all vision on him. Ramses isn't even going to bother with the kill. Yoku coming back with a buyback, but pretty sure that is game. They only have a buyback here for the Faceless Void, and no GG being called out whatsoever for Friends, apparently. Undershock will tank it, but
yeah, one minor detail is the concession, but waving the white flag before they run you over and blast you to smithereens. But yeah, that's going to be, I mean, this was really well set up game from Virtus.pro. They were able to execute really well with their skill sets. They had the early mobility advantage. They just had to keep the pressure rolling before Friends were able to really bring in the late game. I feel like also Undershock was a little bit underwhelming on the Faceless Void. He kept on using his time dilation like the old way it worked, which was you could initiate with it, you could pop it in your chrono, and it would keep any cooldown that they threw out there on cooldown for an extended period of time. Now it doesn't work like that, and if you're not using it in the middle of a fight, if you're using it at the very beginning, it's far less effective. On top of that, the Chronosphere has just left a lot to be desired, but it's understandable considering you don't have like really long range heroes. You don't have a Drow Ranger DPSing into this Chronosphere. You have a Slark, so it's definitely harder. And sympathies to him, but he just needs to step up his game as a whole if Friends are going to be able to bring it back in game number 2.
All right, that's right. Game 1 is over. Virtus.pro take it. Game number 2 coming up next.